The wine glass shattered against the hardwood floor, red liquid spreading like blood across the expensive rug Jessica had insisted we buy last year. But it wasn't the glass breaking that made everyone in the room go silent. It was what my wife had just screamed at me in front of 12 of her closest friends. "You're a worthless loser, Brandon. A complete and utter failure." Her face was flushed, whether from the 3 glasses of Chardonnay or pure rage, I couldn't tell. Her friends stood frozen, some with their mouths actually hanging open, others suddenly very interested in their phones. The dinner party we'd been hosting, the one Jessica had spent 2 weeks planning to impress these people, had just imploded. And you know what I did? I looked at my wife of 9 years, this woman I'd built a life with, and I said the 5 words that would change everything. "You know what? You're right. My name is Brandon Foster. I'm 37 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had a pretty good marriage. Not perfect, but solid. The kind where you finish each other's sentences and know how the other takes their coffee. Jessica and I met in college, got married at 28, bought a house in the suburbs, and settled into what I thought was a comfortable partnership. I work as a senior software engineer for a mid-sized tech company. Not glamorous, but stable. I make $120,000 a year, which in our city is decent, but not exceptional. Jessica works in marketing for a luxury fashion brand, pulling in about $85,000. Combined, we were doing well. Not rich, but comfortable. We could afford the mortgage, vacations twice a year, and the lifestyle Jessica had always wanted. But somewhere along the way, comfortable stopped being enough for her. The cracks started showing about a year ago, small things at first. Jessica would mention her coworker Amanda's husband who'd just made partner at his law firm, or her friend Brittany's boyfriend who'd founded a startup that got venture capital funding. At first I didn't think much of it. Everyone compares themselves to others sometimes. Then came the comments about my job. "When are you going to look for something better, Brandon? You've been at the same company for 6 years." Or, "Don't you want to do something more exciting than just coding all day?" I tried to explain that I liked my job, that stability mattered, that not everyone needed to be a CEO or startup founder to have a meaningful career. But Jessica had gotten it into her head that we were falling behind some invisible race I didn't even know we were running. The night of the dinner party, I'd come home from work exhausted. We'd been dealing with a major system outage all week, and I'd been pulling 12-hour days trying to fix it. Jessica had left me 3 texts during the day reminding me to be home by 6 because her friends were coming at 7. I made it home at 6:45. "You're late," she said the moment I walked through the door. Her eyes were already cold, assessing. She'd been getting ready since 4, her hair and makeup perfect, wearing a dress that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. "I know, I'm sorry. The outage at work? I don't want to hear about your work problems, Brandon. Just get changed, something nice, not the khakis you always wear." I showered quickly, put on the button-down shirt and slacks she'd laid out on the bed, like I was a child who couldn't dress myself, and came downstairs just as the first guests were arriving. The evening started normally enough. Jessica's friends were the usual crowd. Amanda and her husband Kyle, the lawyer who'd just made partner. Brittany and her boyfriend Devin, the startup guy. Sarah and her husband Marcus, who worked in investment banking. Then there were the single women, Jessica's work friends who seemed to view marriage as some kind of competitive sport where the winner had the richest husband. I played my role, smiled, made drinks, brought out appetizers. Jessica had spent the afternoon preparing. I could feel her watching me, evaluating every interaction, making sure I didn't embarrass her. "So, Brandon," Kyle said, nursing his bourbon, "Jessica mentioned you're still at DataCore. Any plans to move up, get into management?" "I'm happy where I am," I replied. "I like the technical work. Management means more politics, less actual coding." "But don't you want to make more money?" This from Devin, the startup guy who probably wore his hoodie to bed. "I mean, with your experience, you could probably land a position at one of the big tech companies. Google, Amazon, Facebook." Before I could answer, Jessica cut in. "Oh, Brandon's not ambitious like that. He's content with his little job." The way she said little stung. But I forced a smile and changed the subject. Dinner was tense. I could feel Jessica's frustration building every time someone asked about my work, and I gave answers that apparently weren't impressive enough. When Marcus started talking about his latest investment deal, a $50 million acquisition, I saw her jaw tighten. "Must be nice," Jessica said, "to work in a field where people actually accomplish things." "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked. "Nothing. Just that some people have ambition, and some people are content to coast." The conversation stuttered. Amanda tried to pivot to talking about their upcoming trip to Italy. I excused myself to get more wine from the kitchen, and that's when I heard it. Jessica's voice, sharp and clear, carried from the dining room. "I'm so tired of settling for mediocrity. I thought Brandon would amount to something, but he's just stuck." I stood there in the kitchen, bottle of wine in my hand, processing what I'd just heard. My wife was trash-talking me to her friends while I was in the next room. When I came back, the atmosphere had shifted. Everyone knew I'd heard. Jessica's face was defiant, not apologetic, like she wanted me to know what she really thought. "Everything okay?" Sarah asked quietly. "Fine," I said, pouring wine with hands that were surprisingly steady. "Everything's just fine." But it wasn't fine. For the next hour, Jessica made little digs. About my car, a reliable Honda Accord that was 8 years old. About my clothes, which were boring. About my hobbies, which consisted of reading science fiction and playing video games with my brother on weekends. Each comment was like a paper cut. Small, but they added up. Then came dessert. Jessica had made this elaborate chocolate torte, the kind that requires precision and patience. She was serving it when Brittany said something about Devon's startup getting featured in TechCrunch. "That's amazing," Jessica gushed. "Brandon could never do something like that. He doesn't have the drive." "Jessica," I said quietly, "that's not fair. What's not fair is being married to someone who's given up on life." The room went silent. "I haven't given up on anything," I said, my voice still calm. "I have a good job that I'm good at. We have a nice life. I don't understand why that's not enough for you." "Because I want more," she shouted, and now people were definitely uncomfortable. "I want a husband who's going somewhere, not someone who's content to be average." "I'm not average. I'm just not whatever impossible standard you've decided I should meet." "You're exactly average, Brandon. Do you know what Amanda said when I told her what you make?" She actually laughed, because her husband makes 4 times that. Devon's startup is valued at $20 million. Marcus just bought a second house in the Hamptons. And what do we have? This tiny house and your 12-year-old Honda? "It's 8 years old," I corrected, and I could hear the exhaustion in my own voice. "And this house isn't tiny. It's 2,200 square feet. It's tiny compared to what we could have if you just tried harder." That's when I stood up. "I think maybe we should talk about this privately." "No," Jessica said, her voice rising. "I'm tired of pretending everything's fine when it's not. I'm tired of making excuses for you to my friends. I'm tired of being married to someone who's going nowhere." "Jessica, you're a worthless loser, Brandon, a complete and utter failure." The wine glass in her hand hit the floor. Red wine spread across the rug. 12 people stared at us in horror. And that's when I said it. "You know what? You're right." Jessica blinked, thrown off by my agreement. "What?" "You're right. I am a loser. At least I'm your loser. And you know what? I quit." "Quit what?" "Being your loser. Being the disappointing husband you have to make excuses for. Being the guy who's never enough no matter what he does." I pulled my wedding ring off my finger. Just like that. 9 years of marriage reduced to a piece of gold sitting in my palm. "Brandon, what are you doing?" Jessica's voice had changed now, uncertain. "I'm done," I said simply. "You want someone who makes more money? Someone who impresses your friends? Go find him. I'm sure he exists somewhere. But he's not me, and I'm tired of apologizing for that." I set the ring on the table and walked to the door. "You can't just leave," Jessica shouted. "We have guests." "Your guests," I corrected. "Your friends who you want to impress so badly. Entertain them yourself." I grabbed my keys and walked out of my own house, leaving my wife standing in our dining room surrounded by her stunned friends. If you're enjoying this story and want to hear what happened next, please hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me if you've ever been in a situation where someone's words finally pushed you past your breaking point. And don't forget to like this video so more people can find these stories. I drove to my brother's house. Tyler lived 20 minutes away in a modest apartment with his girlfriend Emma. He was 3 years younger than me, worked as a high school teacher, and had never cared about impressing anyone. When he opened the door at 10 at night, took one look at my face and said, "What happened?" I told him everything. The dinner party, the insults, Jessica calling me a worthless loser in front of her friends. "Jesus," Tyler said when I finished. I knew Jessica had gotten kind of materialistic lately, but I didn't realize it was that bad. Neither did I. Or maybe I did and just didn't want to see it. Emma brought me tea, which was such a normal, kind gesture that I almost started crying. "You can stay here as long as you need," she said. "The couch is comfortable. I'll find a place tomorrow. I just needed somewhere to go tonight." My phone started buzzing. Texts from Jessica. First angry, then confused, then panicked. "What are you doing? This is ridiculous. Come home." "Brandon, we need to talk. You're overreacting. My friends are still here. This is humiliating. Please come back." I turned off my phone and went to sleep on Tyler's couch, exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with the hours I'd been working. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and 23 text messages. Most were from Jessica, but some were from numbers I didn't recognize. I scrolled through the messages while drinking coffee Tyler had made. Then I saw the text from Sarah, Marcus's wife. She'd apparently gotten my number from Jessica. "Brandon, this is Sarah. I just wanted to say that what Jessica did last night was completely out of line. You didn't deserve any of that. I'm actually ashamed I didn't speak up during dinner. Please know that not all of us thought those things about you. You seem like a good person who's just trying to live his life." I stared at that message for a long time. Then another came through, this one from Amanda. "Hey Brandon, it's Amanda. I feel terrible about last night. Jessica has been saying some concerning things about your marriage for a while now, and I should have told you. After you left, things got weird. If you want to talk, let me know." Things got weird? What did that mean? I texted Amanda back. "What do you mean things got weird?" Her response came quickly. "Can we meet for coffee? There are things you should know." We met at a Starbucks near her office that afternoon. Amanda looked uncomfortable, stirring her latte without drinking it. "I don't know how to say this," she began. "So I'm just going to say it. After you left last night, Jessica completely fell apart. Started crying, saying she didn't mean it, that she was just stressed. But then Brittany said something that made everything make sense." "What did she say?" "She asked Jessica if she'd talked to Connor yet." "Who's Connor?" Amanda looked at me with something like pity. "Connor Hayes. He works at Jessica's company, VP of Digital Strategy. Makes about $300,000 a year, drives a Tesla, just bought a condo downtown." My stomach dropped. "And Jessica knows him. How?" "They've been working together on some campaigns, but Brittany's comment implied it was more than that. And when she said his name, Jessica went white, started saying it wasn't like that they were just friends." "How long has this been going on?" "I don't know if anything's actually going on, but the way everyone reacted, the way Jessica reacted, there's something there, or at least Jessica's been thinking about something being there." I sat back in my chair processing this information. "So she's been comparing me to this guy?" "I think so. And I think last night, with all of us there, she was trying to justify to herself why you weren't enough, like she was building a case." "A case for what?" "For leaving you, or for whatever she's planning to do." I drove back to Tyler's apartment in a daze. My marriage wasn't just falling apart because I wasn't ambitious enough. There was another man, or at least the idea of another man, someone who represented everything Jessica thought she wanted. That evening, Jessica showed up at Tyler's door. "How did you know I was here?" I asked, blocking the doorway. "Where else would you go?" She looked terrible, makeup smudged, eyes red. "Brandon, we need to talk. What happened last night?" "You called me a worthless loser in front of your friends." "I was drunk. I didn't mean it." "Yes, you did. Maybe you didn't mean to say it out loud, but you meant it. And honestly, Jessica, I think you've meant it for a while now." "That's not true. I love you." "Do you?" "Because it doesn't feel like love when someone constantly tells you you're not enough. When they compare you to everyone else's husband and find you lacking. When they're apparently getting close to some guy at work who makes more money." Her face went pale. "Who told you about Connor? Does it matter? Is it true?" Nothing's happened, she said quickly. We're just friends. We work together. But you want something to happen. She didn't answer, which was answer enough. Jessica, I think we both know this marriage has been over for a while. We just didn't want to admit it. No, she said, tears starting. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll stop comparing. You'll what? Suddenly be okay with me being just a regular guy with a regular job? Because I'm not changing, Jessica. This is who I am. I like my job. I like my life. Or at least, I liked my life before you made me feel like everything about me was wrong. I never meant to make you feel that way. But you did. And I can't live with someone who looks at me like I'm a disappointment. We stood there in Tyler's doorway, 9 years of marriage crumbling between us like old concrete. So that's it? She asked. You're just giving up? I'm not giving up. I'm choosing myself. For the first time in a long time, I'm choosing to be with someone who actually values me, even if that person is just me alone. Brandon, I'll come by the house this week to get my stuff. We can figure out the logistics of everything else later. But right now, I need space. And honestly, I think you need to figure out what you really want. I closed the door gently, leaving my wife standing in the hallway of my brother's apartment building, finally understanding that I meant every word. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers and paperwork and dividing up a life we'd built together. Jessica tried to reconcile several times, but each time she did, I could see she was only doing it because she was scared of being alone, or because her friends had told her she'd made a mistake. Not because she actually saw me differently. The truth came out eventually. Connor Hayes had apparently been interested in Jessica, had been flirting with her at work, making her feel special in ways she claimed I didn't anymore. They'd been having lunch together, texting late at night about work stuff that had nothing to do with work. But nothing happened, Jessica insisted during one of our separation meetings. We never crossed that line. You crossed it in your head, I said, and that's almost worse, because you made me the villain in your story so you could justify whatever you were planning. I wasn't planning anything. Yes, you were. You were planning your exit. You just wanted to make sure I looked like the bad guy so your friends would take your side. She couldn't deny it. The divorce took 4 months to finalize. We split everything 50-50, sold the house, divided the savings. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment near my office, bought some furniture from IKEA, and started rebuilding my life. 6 months after that dinner party, I ran into Amanda at a coffee shop. Brandon, how are you? I'm good, actually. Really good. I'm glad. Listen, I never got to tell you this, but after that night, a bunch of us stopped hanging out with Jessica. What she did was inexcusable. What happened with her and Connor? Amanda laughed, but there was no humor in it. They dated for about 2 months. Turned out Connor was exactly the kind of guy Jessica thought she wanted. Ambitious, wealthy, impressive. But he was also a workaholic who was never around and treated her like an accessory. She came crying to me about how he didn't really see her, how he just wanted arm candy for his corporate events. Karma? Pretty much. Last I heard, he dumped her for someone younger. She's been trying to date, but apparently having a reputation for calling your husband a worthless loser in public doesn't make you super attractive to quality guys. I should have felt vindicated, but mostly I just felt sad. Sad for the years we wasted, sad for the person Jessica had become, sad for the marriage we could have had if she'd just been content with what we had instead of chasing some fantasy of what we could be. But I wasn't sad about my life. My job was going well. I'd actually gotten promoted to lead architect, which came with a significant raise that Jessica would never know about. I was dating someone new, Rachel, a librarian I'd met at a book club Tyler had dragged me to. She thought my stable job was attractive, not boring. She liked that I was content with simple pleasures, that I didn't need to prove anything to anyone. You know what I love about you? Rachel said one night over dinner at a modest Italian restaurant. You're just yourself. No pretense, no trying to be something you're not. It's refreshing. And that's when I realized what Jessica had never understood. Being a worthless loser was only true if you measured your worth by someone else's standards, by bank accounts and job titles and impressing people at dinner parties, but measured by the things that actually mattered, kindness, integrity, being true to yourself, I'd never been a loser at all. I'd just been married to someone who couldn't see value in anything that didn't come with a price tag. 3 months ago, I got a text from Jessica. I miss you. I made a terrible mistake. Can we talk? I stared at that message for a long time, remembering the man I'd been on that dinner party night. The man who'd finally had enough, who'd chosen himself over someone who would never be satisfied. Then I typed back, "I hope you find what you're looking for, Jessica. I really do. But it's not me, and it never will be again. Take care of yourself." And I meant it. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just free. I'm 38 now. I still work at the same company, still drive a Honda, still live in my modest apartment. But I'm happier than I've been in years, because I finally learned that the only person who gets to define your worth is you. And I'm not worthless. I never was. I was just married to someone who couldn't see my value because she was too busy looking at everyone else's price tags. The best thing that ever happened to me was Jessica calling me a loser in front of her friends. Because it woke me up. It made me realize I'd been living my life trying to be enough for someone who would never be satisfied. And it gave me the push I needed to finally say the words that changed everything. You know what? You're right. Right that I was done being her loser. Right that I deserved better. Right that it was time to walk away. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt like you weren't enough for someone, please share it. Drop a comment below about your own experiences with people who couldn't see your worth. And remember, the only opinion that really matters about your life is your own. Subscribe to this channel for more stories about ordinary people in extraordinary situations, and hit that like button to help others find this message. Because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear that they're not a loser just because someone said they were. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop trying to prove yourself to people who will never be satisfied. And sometimes the best revenge is simply living well without them.